For someone who claimed he couldn't feel emotions, Dexter Morgan's life was overflowing with relationships. On the surface, love was his camouflage, a way to appear human, a mask to hide the monster inside. To his colleagues at Miami Metro, Dexter was the quiet family man. To his neighbors, the devoted boyfriend, later husband, and father. But behind the smiles and family photos, every kiss, every date, every touch was part of a balancing act between desire and danger. For Dexter, love was never simple. It was a disguise, a shield, a tool to blend in, but it was also the one thing that could crack his carefully constructed mask. Because love demands honesty. Love requires vulnerability. And for a man who lived by secrets, that made intimacy his most dangerous territory of all. From the fragile comfort of Rita, who offered him normalcy he didn't think he deserved, to the intoxicating chaos of Lila, who embraced the darkness he had tried to hide. And finally, the dangerous passion of Hannah, who mirrored the killer within him. Dexter's romances weren't just about affection, they were about survival, and each love in its own way. Threatened to expose him in ways knives and blood never could. Asterisk, Rita Bennett. Later, Rita Morgan was never supposed to be real love. To Dexter, she was the perfect camouflage, a woman broken by trauma, uninterested in intimacy, who made him appear like the ideal boyfriend and later husband. She gave him a family life, children, a picture-perfect suburban cover that made him untouchable in the eyes of Miami Metro. But love has a way of demanding authenticity. As Rita healed, she wanted more from Dexter: affection, honesty, connection. And the deeper she pulled him into her world, the closer he came to breaking his own disguise. Rita represented safety, but also vulnerability. Because through her, Dexter wasn't just a killer pretending to be a man. He was a husband, a father, someone who had something to lose. And in the end, it was through Rita's tragic death that Dexter paid the price for letting love too close. If Rita was safety, Lila was danger incarnate. Lila Tournay, Dexter's Narcotics Anonymous sponsor, saw in him what no one else did. The darkness, she was chaotic, passionate, manipulative, and utterly obsessed with Dexter's true self. With her, Dexter didn't have to hide. He could let the monster out, and she adored him for it. But Lila's love was not love at all. It was possession. She became reckless, dangerous, and willing to burn everything in Dexter's world just to keep him close. While Rita wanted the man Dexter pretended to be, Lila wanted the killer. And that made her the most dangerous lover of all. Because with Lila, the mask wasn't needed, but exposure was inevitable. Their relationship showed Dexter a terrifying truth. Sometimes being truly seen is more dangerous than being completely alone. Then came Hannah McKay. Unlike Rita or Lila, Hannah wasn't fooled by Dexter's mask. She saw the dark passenger because she had one of her own. Hannah was a poisoner, a killer with beauty and charm. And in her, Dexter found not just acceptance, but understanding. With Hannah, there were no lies, no masks. She loved him as he was, blood and all. But love between killers is never simple. Hannah was freedom, but also risk. She tempted Dexter to abandon the code, to run away, to start a life that could never survive the light of day. With her, Dexter experienced what he always denied himself: genuine connection. But that connection came at a cost, because loving Hannah meant exposing not just his truth, but his future, to Harrison, to Miami Metro, to the fragile balance that kept his world intact. In the end, Hannah wasn't just a lover, she was the embodiment of the life Dexter always wanted, but could never truly have. For Dexter Morgan, love was never safe. It was a disguise, a temptation, a revelation. With Rita, he found the perfect cover, a woman who made him look normal, gave him a family, and allowed him to hide behind the mask of a suburban husband. But even that mask demanded more than Dexter could give, and when Rita was taken from him, it shattered the illusion of safety he had built. With Lila, love became fire, wild, uncontrollable, and threatening to consume everything around him. She saw the monster he tried to keep hidden and embraced it, not out of love, but obsession. And in that obsession, she came dangerously close to tearing apart the fragile balance of Dexter's world. And then there was Hannah. Hannah wasn't fooled by masks or performances. She loved the darkness in Dexter because she carried her own. With her, Dexter experienced something terrifying: real connection, real vulnerability. For the first time, love wasn't a disguise. It was a mirror. And that mirror showed him a version of himself he could never fully have. A man capable of both killing and caring, of both destruction and devotion. Romance was the one element of Dexter's life that no code, no ritual, no plastic sheet could ever control. It made him reckless, exposed, and human in ways his dark passenger despised. Because while blood could always be cleaned, and bodies always hidden, love left stains that no knife could erase. In the end, it wasn't Dexter's kills that undid him, it was his connections. His desperate attempt to be both predator and partner, monster and man, protector and destroyer. And perhaps that's the greatest irony of his story. The killer who mastered death was undone. Again and again, not by evidence or suspicion, but by love. Because for Dexter Morgan, love was never salvation. It was the sharpest blade pressed against his throat.